Hey y'all, I'm Wilson. Welcome to my little shop here. It is Friday night, getting kind of close to midnight here. I've been out here just kind of cleaning up a little bit today, trying to get a bunch of the scrap and junk and clutter out of here so I can get some more floor space. I had an old table, had a table over there. It ended up being a catch-me-all, so I got rid of it, got all the anything that was good, put it in my little storage shed. Got my little line board machine moved back there. Everything else I've got here is on wheels, so I can move it back and forth. If you're in a small shop, that's about the best thing you can do. Put everything you can on wheels. It'll really help you out. Anyway, I was out here tonight just piddling around. I got some stuff I gotta run the belt sander over. I don't think a whole lot of people use belt sanders anymore. I think I'm about the only one left. I thought y'all might be a little interested in it. This is just a little 3x21 little Porter cable. Porter cable's been about the best belt sander I can find here. I was just fixing to change the belt and get it set up. I thought y'all might like to see that, changing the belt and kind of setting the tracking on it. I know a lot of new guys on belt sanders, edge sanders, anything like that, they get a little nervous trying to set the tracking. They don't want the belt to come off. Let me sit y'all up here. My little custom camera stand. I'll sit y'all up there so y'all can see. Alright. Like I say, you put a belt on here, belt sander, anything that uses a belt like this, a belt sander, edge sander, even as far as the big wide belt sanders, that's what they call them. I always call them just a drum sander, but a drum sander is actually where the paper wraps around the barrel, and a wide belt sander is actually where you have, it's the same thing as this, only it's a big 36-inch, 42-inch machine, whatever you got. But anyway, anything that uses a sanding belt like this, you always got to set the track in the belt to want to go one way or the other. I think a lot of new guys get kind of nervous about that, especially with the bigger ones, like on the edge sander. I've seen on the edge sander where the belt has come loose, and it'll actually cut a groove into the metal if it comes loose and slings too far to one side. Anyway, I'm gonna start changing this. I'm using Diablo belts, 120 grit Diablo belts, and they're actually pretty good. I didn't know what they would be coming from the box store, but I got them, and they're actually pretty good. A lot of belts where it's got that joint where they're put together, a lot of times you can feel it when you're sanding. These belts you don't. They seem pretty sturdy. I hadn't had one come apart on me yet. They seem to be pretty good. So far anyway. As good as anything else out there. Alright, put them on simple. You know, you got your instruction manual on your sanders. You know what you're doing. Loosen it up, take it on and off. Pop that back in to tighten it up. I change the belts. I always change them with it unplugged because you never know when you're going to sit there and not be thinking right. Grab that switch and cut it on. And I'm about to sling that damn thing off the table. Getting kind of late at night here. Anyway, setting the tracking. Alright, you got the little knob on the side. Y'all, if you've messed with it at all, you know you got the little knob on the side. And what it does is it takes this wheel and tweaks it back and forth like that. You tighten it up, it'll pull it to the inside. Loosen it up, it'll pull it to the outside. What you do is just, if you're turning clockwise on this one, let me get my thinking straight here. If you're turning this one clockwise, it's tightening it up. Let me take the belt off this and see if we can see that. You can't really see But when you tighten this, when you turn it clockwise, it tweaks this thing this way. It kind of tightens it against the belt and pulls it at a little bit of an angle so it'll pull it inside. Anyway, I hope I didn't mess it up to where it'll swing the belt too hard when I kick it on. But anyway, let's start it out. Start it out, put your hand on there. I got it upside down. And it's not that bad, it's just finding the sweet spot. That's all you gotta do is find the sweet spot. When I get it to where I think it's pretty much set right, I'll let it run just for a minute. You're gonna let that belt warm up so it gets into form. Like I say, read your manual on whatever you got. It'll tell you what you need to know about this. But bottom line, clockwise makes it go that way, makes the belt pull in. You can feel it. You can actually feel it when you turn it. You can feel it tightening against that belt. And when you turn it the other way, you can feel it loosening, which is loosening that way, which lets the belt slip off that way. And I'm confusing myself, so I'm probably confusing y'all, but it's not that bad. It's not as hard as it seems. That's it. Usually just a little tweak back and forth. Let it run a little bit. Let that belt warm up. And anytime I'm changing the belts on these things, I always take time to take an air hose and blow it out. Any kind of sander you use is going to get clogged with sawdust. So blow them out as often as you can, as often as you think about it. It'll help the life of the sander in the long run, no matter what kind of sander it is. That's it. That's a little belt sander here. Like I say, this is a little 3x21. And it's a Porter cable. Like I say, Porter cable's been about the best brand I've been able to find. I hadn't used just every brand out there though, so y'all might find one better. But Porter cable works real good for me. This is a little small belt sander here. It's a little hobbyist belt sander. It does the job. I really like a 3x24. This is, like I said, this is a 3x21. I like a 3x24. And I like the old school. They used to make an old school Porter cable. They called it a choo-choo sander. That's what everybody in the shops call them. Call them a choo-choo sander. They look like a little locomotive engine. It's a little bit heavy, but the weight was centered on the belt and it was balanced real well. Best belt sander they ever made. They ended up discontinuing them. They don't make them no more. I do have one. I've got to get it fixed. And if I get it fixed, I'll do a little video and show that to y'all. But these little sanders here, they do a pretty good job. They last a little while and they do a pretty good job. Anytime you're working with sanders, especially belt sander, remember, keep your hair tied back if you got long hair. Close your shirts. Keep your shirts tucked in. Because that belt, when it's going, that sucker will grab. It'll grab and snatch your shirt real quick. When I was young working in cabinet shops, we'd all go on the install together. We'd carry all the tools. We always carried a belt sander with us. And if we happened to get in a spot, we always did adjustable shelves. And if something happened and the adjustable shelf got just a little too tight, sometimes you'd get some and you put them in and it'd be just tight enough that it didn't want to go, but you don't want to cut it and risk furring the edge. So what we would do, we always had a couple people on the install. We'd take the shelves, one of us would hold the shelf, the other one would take the belt sander and sit there and sand the edge of the shelf, sand enough off of it. It don't take long, just a couple little swipes, and it'll fit right down in there. But we had one belt sander we had on the job site, and the trigger would get stuck. You would actually, while you was running it, when you wanted to shut it off, you had to take your finger off the trigger, take it behind here, and actually pop the trigger out to shut it off. But we're on a job site one day, me and my buddy, we got a shelf that's just a hair too tight. It just needs a little bit, so we're going to belt sand it off. My buddy grabs the shelf, he holds it down there, he's holding it. I get the belt sander, I'm fixing to just take it off a little bit. My shirt's a little loose. I'm young, dumb, not even thinking about it. I got that belt sander with the sticky trigger, started sanding that damn thing, and it caught the bottom of my shirt. And I'm doing all I can do to hold it to keep it from getting into skin. And before I could get that damn trigger to cut loose, that son of a bitch had went all the way up to here, and I'm just right here trying to flip that trigger. So I've got my shirt wrapped in the belt sander wheel, had to cut it loose, ended up 3 or 4 hours working on the belt sander just to get the damn shirt out of it. My shirt, I had to tie it back together and just make do with it on the install. So, bottom line, sanders, anything you got in the shop can be dangerous. So always watch what you're doing. Make sure you're safe with it. Don't wear loose clothes, any shit like that. And that's about it. It's getting kind of late at night, and I am rambling on, getting tongue-tied. I think I'm going to get a little bit more done before I go to bed, though. I might even get to working on our little project and do another video on it before I go in. Oh no, I'm figure it out. I'll sit down for a minute and figure it out. But that's it for this video. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling on, but it is what it is. Y'all have a good one. I'll see y'all on the next one.